Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Coach Dave Delta World Sprint Championship here at GRDC. We are back once more. Now, right away, you will notice a bit of an interesting title, Round 3 Fuji Speedway. Now, this is the round, if you remember back to earlier in the season, that we weren't able to get going ahead due to technical difficulties, and actually we passed it by on the calendar, opting it to rerun during our break, or during the time where we would have had a week's break. So we're here tonight at Fuji. I'm joined by Eero. Welcome back, mate. How are you feeling about tonight?
I'm excited. Fuji is a tricky track, and I'm super pumped to see what our drivers can do.
Well, we have got, of course, plenty of racing ahead. We've got a 50-minute qual and then a pretty extensive race that we're about to have going ahead. But first off, let's talk winners from Monza. And as we have the graphic coming through, first off in the hypercars, Bellucci takes top honours with Schlichting and Butzin taking the second and third in the Ferrari, so getting themselves a healthy dosage of points, putting themselves fourth and fifth in the championship with Bellucci in second. So congratulations to those three. Of course, great, impressive work out there last time. And we also have the podiums for the LMGT3s. That's going to go to Robert Poor, retaining his lead in the championship. Timi Lehtonen pushing himself into a closer fight with Moffat as they both go third and second in the current championship standings. So quite a hotly contested fight towards the sharp end of the track and the sharp end of the standings. We've had a few change-ups and a couple of cars who weren't with us last time, but we will now be going trackside as practice has officially come to an end. Now, it is Fuji. What should we be expecting here,
Eero? Tough hard racing, I would say. Fuji is famously quite tricky, especially the last two corners. Very tricky to get right for the best overtaking bit of the track, the long main straight. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, of course, and as well, those of you watching at home, we want to hear from you. So who are you rooting for in that live chat? Get yourselves on there. Tell us who you want to see come out on top on track. We're about to go in with qualifying. We're about to get things going. Immediately right out the gate, we have got one of the hypercars. Is Schlichting going to be the first of the hypercar cohort to get out there? Let's stick on board with him and see what he is capable of here. We have got 11 LMGT3s and 14 hypercars out there tonight, making it a 25 car strong roster. We also have the return of the picture-in-picture, so simultaneously we can keep an eye on the GT3s. Who is that you're on board with right now, Eero?
We are on board with Timi Lehtonen, who's out on his, not the hot lap, but the warm-up lap.
Yeah, Lehtonen has got a lot of pressure on him because he's currently third in the championship and he's 2 points away from overtaking Danny Moffat. All top three are in the Ferraris, so they're pretty much in equal machinery. It's just about setup and who's able to push those cars the furthest that's going to come out on top. So we're sticking on board for now with Philip Schlichting on the main cam and Timi Lehtonen in the side cam. We will see how these cars manifest their times as things get underway. We'll switch in the leaderboard a little bit just to give us a bit more clarity and give us a full view as we jump on board now. So here you go. This is going to be Schlichting starting his lap down the start-finish straight. You really want to get those rear wing angles adjusted for a bit more speed. Over 300 Ks for chipping all the way down into second gear, pushing that car all the way to the edge of the circuit. Get as much of a wraparound as you can. Now into fifth gear, a little bit of a yield. Making sure that you clear the crest of the apex and then pushing onto the power as you head through into sector 2. A little bit of an uphill here. Use that mechanical grip to your advantage, but don't go too wide or you'll be caught unawares. All the way into second. I think that was a miss shift there from Schlichting. I think he almost money shifted that hypercar as we now head down into one of the fastest sections of the track. It's a fast downhill, but quickly got to get on the brakes again, as this is the technical Sector 3. It's dodging and weaving. You got to duck that hypercar, maneuver it around all the way. Sitting is our furthest car ahead right now. 31.3 first sector, 24.3 second, although currently has been outdone by the two Lamborghinis of Bellucci and Picossi. We'll see how Ferrari makes it work here. Now, final couple of corners, hardest to get right, especially if you want the best exit, but nicely maneuvered here. Schlichting on the hunt. Let's see what time he can get on the boards. Let's see what he can get here. It is going to be a 28.381. That is the time to beat. Let's see what some of the others do. Here comes Bellucci as he's up and is going to be coming up to the line here. I think he invalidated, unfortunately, so he's not going to be taking a spot. Also looks like our tower has stopped working. There we go. We got it back. Picossi currently leads on the timing board in the hypers with a 27.826, closely followed by Butzin. Bellucci has got the time. It's a 28.253, but also looking at the GT3s here as more of them come through. We're on board here, for example, with Alistair Ramsey, as he's going to be making his way into the third sector currently. Lettonen leads with a 39.958, along with Craig, or not Craig, sorry, misread. That's Ian Nisbet with a 41.8, although all of a sudden, a ton of GT3s have entered the boards. That's Moffat, Biddle, Staging, Starkey, Barham, all going onto the board right there. We just got a couple of GT3s and a lone hypercar in Borgso, who has yet to put a time down on this board. There you go, here's Alistair Ramsey. Pushing as much as he can, all of his might in that Vantage. It's giving it 110% at this point. There you go, up to the line. It is third. 141.704. Impressive showing there. Uhilal, I think, is on an outlap right now. So you can see they're trying to get some heat into their tyres. Get them into that operating window. Although compromising a bit of speed on the start-finish straight. I do wonder if there's a bit of a strategic misplay that has been had there. A few more cars.
Not the place to be slow.
You want to get the tyre warming done during the middle of Sector 3, really. That's where you've got the technical tight corners up the hill. That's where you want to be pushing those rubbers. And, oh, that's Butzin. He's just pushed it a little bit too hard heading into Sector 2. And he has got that car round there. Another run of the Ferraris. Here's Patush. As we push through here. Let's check in on the hypercar times overall. We can see Patush is currently sat in third. Nice and tidy. He's going to be our fifth 27 of the night. 27.912 puts him in third place. Schlichting has improved to a 27.862 and done very impressively in his own right. Let's keep things on board with a couple of the hypers for the time being. But Alessandro Grossi, the third Lamborghini on the field, and a driver that has certainly impressed. We've got Borgso, who is back on the track in the Alpine, as well as Ferdinand Kerner, who rejoins after missing out last time. See how the Alpine does here. I want to see if that car really is running slow, or whether there's something that can be extracted out of that thing.
Yeah, it could be interesting. I'm waiting to see how the Lambo gang does on the hypercar side, and interested to see how the GT3s will pan out.
Yeah, I can see on your smaller screen you've got a few of the GT3s there. Well, it looks like Borgso's having a bit of trouble as well, manoeuvring that Alpine through. Maybe it's just me, but I'm also noticing we have a bit of a thinner grid tonight. So, of course, 25 entrants is still by no means a small cohort, but at the same time, there are some names I'm noticing that are missing, and ouch, that is brutal for Borgso. He lost the tail in the third sector, and he's limping that Alpine back out from the grass just to finish the lap. He was so close to the end of the lap too, but just lost the tail.
Yep. Moffat improves, but not enough to take Jordan 40's second position on the grid.
I do wonder, because it's the, well, technically it's the break week, maybe the drivers weren't expecting to actually drive. Maybe they weren't necessarily planning for it.
Mayhaps.
I mean, I was checking in with a couple of chats.
Technical issues might have messed up people's schedules.
Yeah, maybe a conflicts of schedules, like you say. Now, they do see in the chat there is Robert Poor, of course, the one and only leader of the LMGT3 division for the championship, saying is, quote, too sick to race today. Well, I hope you feel better soon, mate. As always, health is the priority, but hope you make a speedy recovery. As we also hope to with Nathan Perron. He's having to undergo a bit of a medical procedure, so unless told otherwise, he has made the decision to retire from the championship, which is a shame, but health always has to come first, so fully understandable if that's the choice he's making, and we'll wish him nothing but the best to the both Perron
Absolutely.
and for Poor to make a speedy recovery to keep fighting at that sharp end.
Be well, guys.
We have 6 minutes left in the qualifying. Eric de Vries coming down in the Cadillac. Now, if there's one thing this thing should be good on, it should be on that acceleration. It should be on that top end. And we can see he's pushing all the way up to the line here and has got some decent pace going, but I don't think that lap was fast enough. And actually catches the rear, locks up, and spins himself. So that's not going to be a immediate second attempt, as one maybe hoped. But Dio Bouquet actually has gone and surprised us all in the background. He's come out of the pits now, but he's got a 27.631 on the board. He's dethroned Pocosi. And Pocosi himself is headed into the pits now, I think, to set himself up for a final run. So, bit of an upset, bit of a change, as he might not have expected such competition at the front.
Yep. Lots of Ferraris in the top 5.
Ferrari's proven to be a force to be reckoned with. Here's the timing boards as well for the GT3s. You can see Lettonen continues to lead, with Ramsey pushing himself up into second, Forte in third, and it is Moffat in fourth, with Nisbet, Biddle, Staging, Ulial, Starkey, Barham, and Borgerson. That is your GT3 order. As you can see, once again, you got the picture-in-picture to be able to keep track of it all.
Yep, we will keep track of the GT3 race on my end here, and I will offer commentary and try my best to catch all the battles and happenings on the track.
We just jumped on board with Dan Wilson, and at the worst possible times, literally as we switch to him, you see he completely loses the rear end into the second sector. So he's got...
without even saying anything.
Didn't even have to say anything this time. It's an area of effect, apparently. But 0.8 of a second behind his next closest competitor. Wilson needs to get the gears on. He needs to get a move on here if he wants to get a time. But it looks like he's fighting the car more than he is putting some pace down. He's losing the rear on multiple occasions.
Could be a setup thing.
It might be suspension or tires, anything. I mean, for one, that spin would have flat spotted his tires, and that will give him grip issues as is. But something had to have happened for that to be the case. So maybe there is a bit of a question mark around his setup. Hopefully, he can get that settled and that rear end under control. The last thing you want is that rear end kicking when he's in a race situation. Second on board with the Ferrari. Also, Schlitting coming up to the line. Best first sector on the boards for a potential improvement. Now coming up to the line, 27.5. And he is going to be our new leader, new pole position here in the Fuji round of qualifying Schlitting's dethroned by a tenth of a second. Matteo Bouquet. But will there be any form of counter? Here comes Pocosi. First sector is looking purple. Fastest in the session. Coming into sector 2 and then sector 3 as we head on the uphill. What's Pocosi going to get? It's a 24.147 in the sector 2. So just a couple of hundred shy. Bit of a rearward kick. Pocosi coming through in the number 19. Got to keep that thing under control. Lamborghini, we know, has proven to be an excellent competitor in this field so far, but it's not going to be bulletproof. You still need to treat that car with respect. Pocosi looks to have it down as he comes to the start-finish line. Let's see what he can get. 27.5 to beat. It's going to be close, but I don't think it's going to be quite enough, or is it? No, Pocosi is being actually demoted as you have Mika Patush and Marvin Butsin 27.350, looking like absolute rocket ships here, and seriously putting some competition to the front. So we've had a big shake-up in just a few moments.
It is tight, the competition in the hypercar side. You have the top 6 within a second of each other. Oh, the GT3 is a bit looser down the bottom of the grid, but we'll see. Everyone has improved on this qualification, and the whole field is within 3 seconds of each other.
You can see the top 5 for each of them as well on the screen. So Butsin, Patush, Schlitting, Bouquet, and then finally Pocosi. 0.3 of a second, 3.5 tenths split them. Niesbet just pushes himself up into 4th position right there. You see displacing Moffat into 5th, but it's a much larger spread in the GT3s than it is in the hypercars. Here comes Paul Garnham, 29.389. So best he's mustering right now is a 10th spot, unless he's going for another go. Last chance for a lot of these racers here, as we are in the last 30 seconds, so not everyone is going to be close enough to get themselves past the line. This is going to be curtains for a few drivers, and we can see a lot of the GT3s have already headed into the pits. Lettonen, Ramsey, Forte, Moffat, all in the pits. The only one still trackside is Niesbet.
Oh, Hilal's gone a bit too fast in the left-hander and lost the rear there. Unfortunate for him, that'll be his qualification done.
Yeah, that was a rough innings for him right there. Butsin, Schlitting, Pocosi, Bouquet, all in the pits now, so they will not be getting further runs. Grossi, De Vries, Garnham, and Borgso also joining them. The only GT3s left on the track are Ian Niesbet and Reda Uhilal. And most of the GT3s are going to also be joined by the hypercars, as a lot of them have abandoned. Because Mika Patush, one of the last hypers to be going for it here. Through into Sector 2. Kerner, 30.010, so he's going to be at P13. Aldanini heads into the pits. Uhilal in the pits as well. Niesbet last car and now pulling into the pit lane too. Dan Wilson also could be going for a chance here, but it's going to be tight. Here comes
within 1,000 of a second from Jordan for the. That is amazing.
That is impressive indeed. But Patush is going to be going into the pits, abandoning his run. All eyes on Dan Wilson, last runner on the field, and it is no improvement, unfortunately. That is going to do it. Sorry, just taking a moment to appreciate the gnarliness that was, that engine note. But there you go. That is session over. And let's get your session results on the screen. So, Butsin, Patush, Schlitting are your top 3 for the hypercars, and a very tight spread between them. Less than 0.2 of a second split those top 3 in the hypercar division. Meanwhile,
go to the grid for a race start.
You can see as well, Lettonen, Ramsey, and Forte are your top 3 in the GT3s, and pretty thin spread between themselves, albeit with about a second to their name. So let's go with the starting order.
Showing definite advantage there.
Let's get everyone going. So we have Butson and Patush in row 1 with Schlitting and Bouquet in rows 3 and 4. Some drivers still in the pits as they are preparing themselves, but we might as well go through the starting order. Picosi and Bellucci on row 3, with row 4 being another Lamborghini of Alessandro Grossi and Henrik de Vries with the Cadillac alongside. Holstenius and Garnham in the Porsche and the Toyota respectively, with row 6 another Porsche, and joined by the Alpine of Remy Alexander Balzone is Boldanini. But Mark Ferdinand Kerner makes a return alongside Dan Wilson to complete our hypercar roster in row 7, and then row 8, it's all GT3s. Timmy Letonen leads with a strong pole alongside Alistair Ramsey, a few tenths of a second away. Jordan Forte in row 9 alongside Ian Nisbet there, and row 10 is going to go to Danny Moffat and Jordan Biddle in the Ferrari and the Mustang respectively. Row 11 is going to go to Franklin Staging and Reda Uhilal in the BMW and the Porsche. Row 12 is going to go to Starkey and Barham with 23rd and 24th position, 70 in the 92. Finally, you have Sebastian Borgerson in the Porsche, and that is going to round things off, folks. We are getting going here for Fuji. It's going to be a good one here. Of course, let us know who you want to see out on top here in the live chat as we get things underway in just a moment. Let's see what these racers can do. 25 starters, and it's going to be chaos. The track is hot. It's a little overcast, but it's still going to be on fire. Here we go. Green flag, 60 minutes. Let the flames begin. Immediately, great opener from Butson. Goes on the inside, tries to block things up. Here's Bouquet, also getting boxed in by a couple of the Ferraris, but tucks back to the outside again. Bit of tyre smoke as everyone is dashing and rushing to get an opportunity in. Schlieting alongside Batush, another Ferrari teammate, as Bouquet is displaced down into 4th fully alongside was the Ferrari, but no more. The Ferrari's ahead. Patush and Schlitting continue to fight alongside. There is a couple of off-track excursions much further down, however, as nobody is getting a chance to breathe. A little bit of chaos in that mid-pack. The hypercars managing to get away in fairly clean fashion as well, with the GT3s managing to keep things quite settled also. Great running and great showing on the opener from everyone here. Looking like a superstar start. But Butson, look at him right now. 1.6 seconds and counting. He's managed to get away fully. He's capitalized on the chaos. Schlieting has made a bit of a mistake, however. He's all the way down in 6th. He had a bit of a wobble. Was fighting alongside Patush not too long ago. But now Bouquet has taken not only that fight back, but he's into 3rd. Great run from Picosi as well.
Yeah. Wow, what a race start. GT3 is well on the way. With a bit of a slide from someone. I didn't guess who that was, but everyone still seems to be battling hard. We got some fights forming up, and we'll keep an eye on those.
There you go. This Kerner, in fact, was the one who dropped down massively earlier, so they are trying to make their time back up and make sure that they can get back to the hypercars in order to fight that good fight. Back up at the sharp end, there's Grossi, who has found a bit of a pocket between two cars, but it isn't really fighting too much. Bouquet and Picosi, I think, are going to take the fighting privileges for themselves, and right now, Grossi can wait by his time. Same can't be said exactly for Boldanini, as he's got 2 seconds away, 2.5 quickly becoming as Holstenius pulls a gap. And Henrik de Vries is breathing down his neck. He knows any mistake here can lead the Cadillac, as well as potentially the Toyota and Alpine behind, to take a bite out of him. Bellucci's, though, have been dropped all the way down to the bottom. And I have to wonder what's happened to cause such a predicament.
I saw there was a car going a bit sideways, power sliding their way through a turn. Could have been them.
Very well could have been, but Wilson is going to overdo it a little bit on the entrance to Sector 3, so he is going to yield a position to Bellucci, and that will be that. Checking in quickly on the GT3s, we're on board with Jonathan, not Jonathan, why am I struggling to read today?
Reading is hard sometimes. Jordan Forte.
Reading is hard. No word, only yap. Jordan Forte,
yeah.
3rd place. Going fast, many car. Ramsey.
Much race, wow.
Ramsey, up ahead. Much defend. Very wow.
Yeah, Ohilal got past Franklin Stieknik earlier in a nice overtake. We have Nisbet for the Ramsey currently all close together going through the main straight into turn 1. We will see if anyone can get anything done. There we go, and Nisbet's going side by side.
Yeah, nice battle happening there in your picture-in-picture. Of course, we've also got a bit of a defense job coming from Borgso as he's trying to fight off Bellucci. He knows the pace that Lamborghini is capable of. He did go for a bit of a defense attempt in Sector 2, but wasn't able to quite hold the line there. Also, apologies, folks. I am recovering a bit from being ill over the weekend, as well as some other bits. So if I do sound hoarse at any point, that is not because I've been swallowing gravel for 3 days. That is because I just have a little bit of a ticklish throat every now and again as a bit of a side effect. But looking back to the trackside, Henrik de Vries, he's also on the challenge. You can see there is Baldanini going very wide through the second sector and through that top hairpin. But as they arc their way round to the right side, there's still going to be a bit of defensive driving coming in from the Porsche. Both of them taking very different lines, almost squeezing Bellucci, who is aiming to get past these two cars on the edge of the final corner. Bit of drafting taking place. It's a drag race. It's 2, it's 3, it's coming through to the start-finish line. You can see Bellucci has a little bit of a speed advantage, and he's pressing that advantage up to the line here. De Vries goes safe. He opts to yield. He knows 3 cannot fit into this corner. He has to play the democracy card. He has to live to fight another day. Bellucci goes for the send. De Vries manages to capitalize on an overextension from the Lamborghini, but he fires it in once again. This time, another great switchback. De Vries is putting on the drive of his life right now. He's defending against a driver he knows has some serious pace, but clever, cunning placement of his car is meaning that Bellucci is not getting through without a fight. Unfortunately, a bit of an overextension through Sector 2. Bellucci's going to have it, but not through easy times. Not through lack of trying from De Vries to stop him. See Bellucci using that momentum as well. Oh, it's a GT3 battle.
Absolutely. We have Uhilal and Moffat having a go at it. They both passed Franklin on the straight. I mean, Daniel's passed Franklin on the straight, and Uhilal's immediately on the defensive against him. Danny making his way through the grid in a rapid fashion.
I mean, just look at them go side by side, though.
Yeah.
That was almost immaculate racing. Bellucci's managed to get himself a bit of a break. He got past Baldanini, and even with a little bit of a mistake in Sector 3, he's still fighting through. So he certainly has the pace. That's why he's at the top end of the Hypercar Championship. There's a reason why he's in second. So, of course, he's going to flex that pace whenever he can. Bouquet, meanwhile, in fourth, lost the position to Pocosi, but he's still keeping within half a second, so I wouldn't count him out just yet.
GT3's back on the main straight again. Moffat's making headway in the Uhilal's rear bumper. Stieknik and Biddle are forming their own pocket and also having a bit of a go. But not yet. Biddle's not close enough.
Looks like Uhilal's the one to watch right now, as it looks like they're trying to challenge on Moffat.
Moffat's flashing their lights. Bit of a block there maybe as a move. Yeah, they have conceded the position as to not to upset the stewards. Pronunciation also hard sometimes.
Either way, a bit of strong racing back and forth never hurt anybody. Just got to make sure it's fair and clean.
That's what we're here for.
So now coming in to the next crucial stage of the session, you have 8 minutes under the clock. Butsin leads by 2 seconds. Patush leading Pocosi by 3. You have also got Letonen, Ramsey, and Forte being your top 3 in the GT3s, with a significant amount of space between Lettonen and Ramsey. He's been able to basically peel away, get away from the grid. He hasn't had much in the way of challenge on his respective pocket of the circuit, but that could very easily change. We'll see how that happens as we go.
Hilal and Moffat back on the main straight again. Let's see if they've gotten close enough to get a nice slipstream going. Doesn't seem that way. Moffat's flying away. Porsche does not have the top end to contest.
Yeah, I think the Porsche really has to make it up in the corners, but they need to be there first. I think that's the Achilles heel around this configuration. It just doesn't have the top end to really challenge, and with as much of a high-speed emphasis as Fuji does, you can find it pretty difficult. As we're seeing here with Henrik de Vries, he's in a rock and a hard place. Bordenini on the front, Garnham in the back. So he's not got any room to breathe himself here. He could maybe get a little bit of a draft off the back of the Porsche, but that's not saying much when you have the Gazoo racing car, the number 7, tailing you and constantly teasing you with its advances. The peak into the right side very briefly there as the tachometer flashes up on the dash of the driver. Garnham is on the hunt right now. We do have a local yellow coming out for whatever reason. Trying to see exactly what that is. I think, say, Borgerson had an incident and is currently recovering from it. So they managed to get back out on track, and oh, bit of a snap there, as it looked like that was one of the Lamborghinis. I want to say that was Bellucci.
It was a green Lamborghini, could be.
Yep, which green Lamborghini could it be? Could it be who behind door number 63? Potentially so. I think it was. Bellucci's got a lot of work to do to make it up to Holstenius. 4 seconds could be on the cards by the end of this lap, but he's making excellent time. He's already made 6.5 seconds on Bordenini, so that is saying something.
Impressive showing there. Oh, we have Beetle going for the move on Franklin. With a hypercar in the mix. They all lived. Well done, boys. Good racing.
Could have got a little bit dicey there. That was Patush trying to make his way through at the same time as everything else happening.
The main straight is the best place to overtake on this track. Everybody wants to overtake there. The slower cars and the faster cars. It's gonna be a mess.
Yeah, a little bit of anxiety creeping in from some. We see Patush managing to keep it fairly clean and narrow. We do have Borgso in the pits. Meanwhile, Borgso's going to be coming out much further away from the rest. Unfortunately, Bordenini and Garnham have proven to get the better of De Vries here, as he's now behind the Toyota throughout all of that. We have a local yellow coming out once again. I think that's for the rejoin of Borgso, as he's come out of the pits and spent a lap in there.
Could be. Oh, we have Starkey and Barham having a bit of a fight going, but I think Barham slightly lost the rear end grip there, and Starkey's got the move done.
Yep, and not to mention the Lamborghini hypercar that just scythed through the two of them, made quick work of that fight, and is going to make sure that's not going to be reignited anytime soon. He's managed to put a pretty decent amount of space between them here. Here comes Schlichting. He's trying to chase down. You can see, oh, there you go, just in the background from the helicopter. Grossi overshoots the first corner, but he's not done yet. He goes to the inside. This could be 3 into the corner. That could be dicey. Just remember, the LM GT3s and the hypercars, despite the grip differences, roughly have the same braking distance. They have to keep that in mind on their corner approaches. That's why it's so sketchy to go for attacks and go for passing subsequent GT3s through apexes. You've got to be very careful of that.
He lost the rear end there for a bit. Well, good recoveries. They've rejoined.
Yeah, good running indeed. Schlichting not quite getting the move on Grossi there. Wasn't able to make it stick, unfortunately, for himself. So we'll see if he goes for an attack follow-up, as he does have behind him a certain Porsche. This is Holstenius just lying in wait to see what the two of them actually do. If he can time this right, he could get a potential move on the both of them when you combine that with the GT3 traffic that they're now more and more having to face against.
There's a lot of GT3 battling going on currently. Uhilal, Pilon and Stignik are all within a second of each other, just about to head to the main straight. We'll see who stop and carries through here, and I don't think it's gonna be the Porsche. Uhilal goes immediately on the defensive, taking the inside line, returning to the racing line, going back to the inside line. Wheel weaving there. No moves done on this time.
And you say that, but here comes two hypercars in Baldinini and De Vries flavour. This might shake up the order between them, as our viewpoints are now going to converge. And within half a second, we'll see what they do when facing this traffic right now. Baldinini to the outside. That is going to be a quick sweep round. You've also got Garnham getting involved in this. And actually going extremely narrow. Oh, contact being made. That is a brutal attack. A bit of a tank slapper to the side panel there. And oh no, what's that? So that is... I don't believe what I just saw. So that was Garnham running slow. De Vries manages to get almost a double overtake. I don't know if he secured it, as Baldinini gets stuck behind the Toyota there. Oh, there's contact again as they come into the third sector, and they both spear each other off. I think that was a massive lockup coming in from Baldinini there.
Yeah, going.
Not happy bunnies at all. The Mustang behind is just, I guess, watching in shock and awe. He's thinking, what are these guys doing right now? Either way, I'm just happy I'm sat back here in my other class. I'll let them fight. Have fun. As long as there's no carbon in my tyres by the end, I'm impartial.
Well said right there. One is got up to 4B. That's quite close enough on this lap to make a move, but we'll see what they'll manage to cook for the next one.
Let's see what these drivers have got cooking. He's on board with Bouquet right now, potentially fighting for third, as Picosi has proven to be a staunch rival. But he has refused to leave that Lamborghini's rearview mirror. It's time to see if he can make that action. So half a second splits the two. Through Sector 3, it's barely static. But it all comes into how he sets himself up. All goes a little bit narrow, but the better exit from Picosi could serve to bite Bouquet here.
Will he still be in range of Slipstream? Will he still be able to cut through the air?
Looks like he's getting a little bit of speed difference. He's managing to reduce that deficit. But I don't think it's quite having the effect that he would like, and certainly not enough to challenge for that spot as he'd hope. Well, meanwhile, we do have a fight in the Hypercars division. Here's Grossi, Schlitting, Holstenius. They've all come together much closer now. Grossi in particular proving to be quite the opponent for the Ferrari, currently sat in 6th place. Just keeps to his line. Goes a little bit defensive here on the hairpin. Opening the taps, heading down the decline. Question is, will there be defensive positioning from Grossi? Yes, there is. Goes a little bit narrower. Covers off that apex contact between Schlitting and Holstenius there. Luckily, only a minor. Meaning there will not be any lasting damage, hopefully. Diffuser still looks intact. Schlitting still on the attack there with Holstenius just trying to gauge what these two do. I think both two close the gap, but also just to avoid getting himself in trouble. He doesn't want to insert himself into a fight or a door that is then going to be closed. You can see he remains fairly static and certainly delayed in his transition to get into the slipstream of the other two. I think looking at some of the other areas of the field, Borgso's starting to move up, but Wilson is moving down. The Dan Wilson, I think, either took a pit or a bit of a hit earlier, as he is now currently mingling in with the LMGT3s in terms of position. See Schlichting trying to keep up, but Grossi just gets ahead of the GT3s with the Ferrari getting stuck in a bad time. Well, Stenny is able to once again keep himself passive in this ordeal, and I think that's the best way for him to be until these two really start to go side by side. Remain passive, don't make it a multi-car fight, but instead let the two ahead wear each other out and then, like a vulture, snap up what remains of the spoils.
Absolutely, keep up that pressure. There's a lot of the race left. You don't want to make any hasty moves. You want to play it safe.
Yeah, it's worth noting, folks, we're only a third of the way through this race here. 60 minutes and only 20 have passed. So drivers making rash moves and darting themselves into positions that they know aren't going to last, it's only going to serve to bite them back. What matters is the long game, playing the race distance and not the battle in front of you. That's the key.
If you murder your tires for a position, it's not gonna pay off well. LMU specifically is quite hard on the tire wear, and if you flat spot them, your force feedback will rattle your teeth all the rest of the race.
Yeah, I'm sure that our drivers do want to have wrists by the end of the race, so look after those tires. Don't be locking up and firing your car into positions. That's just not sustainable. You will have a bad time. Remain on board for Schlichting for the time being, but how are things doing over in GT3?
The GT3 side has calmed down a bit. Cost cars are Nisbet at 40, and Fiddlestick, Nick Uhilal trio. They have been driving close proximity for quite a bit now.
I mean, it looks like Nisbet's pretty close on your view.
He is.
Really challenging for it now. See Dan Wilson.
Definitely showing intent.
Wilson as well making his way round those two GT3s. At the same time, we have got now Schlichting getting dangerously close to the back of the Lamborghini. I'm wondering, when is it going to be crunch time for these two? They've sort of teased us lap after lap. They've teased running close. They've teased potentially peaking side by side. This could be a commitment here from Schlichting. No, he ducks back into the tailwind. Rossi just trying to keep his act together. I think he's going to be feeling that pressure sooner rather than later here. He's been under it for a significant amount of time now.
We will see if he holds or if he crack.
How tough is that shell really? Everyone has their breaking point. Schlichting is asking themselves, where can I find Grossi's? Where does this Lambo crack? Unfortunately, there is going to be a GT3 that puts a wrench in the matters of Schlichting here. He's going to get stuck. He's going to have to really deal with the GT3s on the racing line.
No. That's not the best place to be.
Not at all. See, he's going to drop himself down 1.2 seconds. Now splits himself and Grossi, means the whole Stenius could be our driver of the hour, as it now has a chance to really attack here. Meanwhile, De Vries has continued to be on the back of Bordenini and has staunchly remained in the same position for the entire time. It's almost scary. Okay. To an attack into the first corner, but loses the advantage, with Pocosi putting on a good exit up at the top. Will that Toyota have much of anything to say back? I don't know. I don't think so.
It might not.
We're going to hunt him down, and oh, we jump over to Schlichting. He loses the tail in the second sector, completely spins it out. Holstenius, Bellucci both going past. Grossi well and truly out of the firing line here. Oh, that's such a difficult mistake to make. Now down into P8. Schlichting is going to be reeling from that one. He put on such a good fight up until that point. That's the brutal part. He's such a good job of it, but unfortunately, fate did not smile upon him. His rear tyres lit up a bit too much there. And that's all she wrote. P8 for him.
Yep.
Although not to be out of the fight just yet. Bellucci is still close, and Bellucci could be his target to redeem his position.
Don't think his tires are going to be happy about that spin.
Yeah, that is true. He will be suffering on the grip levels and on the experience for controlling the car. My question is, if he can successfully ride the coattails of that other Lamborghini right there, could he still press an advantage? We know that Bellucci has ridiculous pace on tap.
That is a question to which an answer remains to be seen.
Either way, we'll watch on board and we'll see how these two do and function in this environment. But let's check a bit back further up. Now we see that Picosi has actually yielded the position to Bouquet. They were fighting alongside each other, remember. Bouquet was early on in P3, but lost it to Picosi earlier in the race. And now he's managed to get it back, but can he hold it? We also have a couple of cars who have now headed into the pit. So Olstenius, Grossi, both headed into the pits alongside Moffat and Starkey from the LMGT3s. We can see the number of stops count. It is going to be 0 for the most part. However, some are starting to now jump in. And if we look at the energy levels as well of the hypercars, they're going to have to head in pretty sharpish. Butsin pretty much has to hop in immediately to get some energy in that car. You can see there's Butsin. There is Patush, there is Bouquet, there is Picosi, Bellucci most likely to follow and do the exact same. Schlichting on 2%. He's going to get that thing in on metaphorical fumes as they both now tuck into the pit lane. Garnham will also be heading in by the looks of things, and many cars will be now having to recharge as there's going to be a couple of moments between this part of the race and the next major section.
I think the drivers are going to have to do some fuel saving or some sort of strategizing if they run out of fuel on a full tank in 26 minutes. That's not going to be enough. 2 tanks for a full race then.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem. A big problem. And I don't know how they're going to deal with it. Seeing pretty much the entire hypercar roster head into the pits, meaning that they are genuinely limited. And so they cannot afford to go full push. De Vries is still out there. He's managed to do a lot of fuel saving by the looks of things, and a lot of energy saving. We do have a GT3 stopped on track. That is Borgerson. And I think Borgerson is out of fuel. He's practically rolling down.
Yeah.
He is a sitting duck. That is going to be an unsafe environment for sure. The yellow flags are out in this area for that exact reason. That Porsche is done for.
Not going great for him. Holiday Ramsey, Bill Stickney all down their pit stops. Timi Lehtonen now pitting in the GT3 leader position. We will see where he emerges out of the pits.
There you go. We're waiting for some of the data to update. There we go. So looks like they're going back up to about 80% on average. Schlichting is going to be, for some reason, did he pit earlier? Did Schlichting pit? I don't know. He's still displaying a 0.8%. Oh, there we go. Up to 78. Sorry, a little bit of a lag on the tool, folks. Forgive us.
Yes.
I was going to say, I could have sworn that I saw him pit in along with the rest of them. The only one, the outlier, looks to be De Vries. Even Kerner and co. further down the order are pitting in too.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting if they have to do some fuel saving.
Unfortunate to see Borgerson dropping out of the order. And unfortunately will be our first DNF of the session. Hopefully only DNF. But yeah, that brings us down to 10 LMGT3s on this field. We do see a bit of chopping and changing with some traffic already, even though we've had a major pit phase. As this is going to be De Vries, who is provisionally holding on to the race lead. Dicing his way up a few of the GT3 cars. Namely, Starkey right there.
Off it's out of the pits. Nisbet's inherited the pole position for the GT3s, but he is yet to beat.
And we're just checking in with Dan Wilson. Now, I'm noticing something here with Wilson. His inputs are... I don't know if it's a bit of placebo or maybe I'm seeing something that isn't there. But his inputs look very sharp. They look very almost jerky. And I'm starting to see it a bit with the ways he just went off track there. He's very aggressive on his brakes. He's very aggressive on his turning as well. I wonder, is there a... Does he use like a different way of control input? Does he...
I remember we had a discussion about this the other day. I don't remember if it was Dan Wilson who were discussing about that. But apparently we do have someone who plays with an Xbox controller.
I think that could be Wilson, because I'm looking at his inputs and the way that his car moves. Now, of course, if anyone in the live chat does know, then feel free to input here, but it looks like Wilson is our controller driver in question. I mean, for one, if so, that does explain the input activity and the input sharpness, as we can see from that little lockup there. But also, that... I don't know whether to be concerned or extremely impressed, considering that he's running in such a cohort.
Column A, a bit of column B.
A little bit of column A, a little bit column B. Couldn't agree more. I mean, to run a controller in a field like this is a achievement in and of itself, just to get onto the field. So,
yeah, imagine what the man does when he gets his hands on a proper DD wheel.
yeah, so we have got the confirmation, courtesy of Pur, that he is actually on a controller. That is... No, I genuinely do think that is amazing. I am actually seriously impressed by that. We do also have here that he is putting together a proper sim rig, but still, to run a controller, that is both ridiculous and amazing, and I absolutely am here for it. So you have my respect, and you can't see it on camera, but I am saluting. I am saluting right here, Wilson. You go, you drive like your championship depends on it.
Yeah, I can't say anything to that, except hats off to you, sir. Well done.
Well, here we go. Here's Butson actually heading back into the pit lane. This is a curious one. I thought he already headed in.
Yeah, could be that if they don't have enough fuel with 2 full tanks, they do like a short gas it and go break, where they just put a splash and dash. That's what they call it. Or a bit of additional fuel so they don't run out towards the end. I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough. I think you could be right in that if that is the case, they are doing a bit of a splash and dash, although that does severely compromise their position. I think if they had the option to fuel save instead of going for a third stint, I think that would be a lot better, because the time you lose from going into the pit lane is surely not worth that, say, 10 to 15% of the fuel tank.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if you can fuel save like 4 minutes worth of fuel in a race. You will just lose so many positions.
I mean, you could do a lot of lift and coast. I mean, that was... Bunsen was in an advantageous position, but looks like that has changed significantly, as Bouquet is now the current top honours. holder. Patush is a little bit further away in second, and then Federico Picosi is in third, as there has been quite a change-up at the top end of the things. Schlichting has actually recovered very nicely. He's just got past Gianluca Bellucci. It looks to be holding that well, but Bellucci is going to be swiftly going... Actually, no, Bellucci stays out as Schlichting heads into the pits as well. So 2 of the Ferraris that were at the sharp end have now boxed in.
They must be splashing and dashing.
We do also see a bit of variance in weather. It was looking very overcast previously, but now it's looks like the skies have at least settled a little bit. They're looking a little bit brighter than they were, and you can see beautiful. That's Fuji in the background.
Yeah, you can see a bit of beautiful sunshine and the majestic Mount Fuji.
It's an absolute spectacle. I mean, in terms of environments for your racetrack, you certainly got a strong competitor there for best scenery. An iconic landmark like that. This is interesting. So, Schlichting has now come out of the pits. But look where Butson is. Butson is in 14th. He's a lap down. I wonder if there's more than meets the eye to that pit stop. Maybe there's something else going on.
Could be mechanical failure of some sort. I don't know. It's interesting.
Now we are getting, again, brilliant technical insights from the live chat. So, Robert, it's brilliant to have you here as sort of a faux technical desk. But you can see, can't save that much fuel in the GT3s. You have to fuel for another 4 to 5 laps. So a lot of the GT3s in particular are going for those short stints, and then will be going for a second pit stop to bring that third stint home. I wonder if that is the same case with the hypercars as well, but we also have confirmed from Sebastian, of course our DNF driver, lost the car and hit the wall and couldn't continue. It wasn't a fuel issue, it was a mechanical one. Couldn't make it to the pits in the end. Couldn't lip that car home, unfortunately. So, I mean, shame to see.
Unfortunate there, mate.
Yeah, it's a shame to see, but such as racing, sometimes you lose the car, sometimes it happens. It can happen to the best. So, keep your head held high, because you were racing brilliantly up until that point.
Sometimes it goes, sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe bad. You never know. That is the way of racing. We're on board with Picosi right now. 1.9 seconds and counting to Patush. He managed to get a bit of a slingshot over a couple of the GT3s and use them for a tiny bit of slipstream, but Patush is proving to be a significant competitor. Bouquet has got a whole 10 seconds, meanwhile. 10.8 seconds on Mika in the Ferrari, and is looking like an absolute rocket in the Gazoo. The hypercars have actually spread themselves quite a lot. So how are we doing on the GT3 front? Looks like Stijink's pretty close to another car.
Yeah, we have Franklin and Reda having a little fight here. Their fight is being disturbed by the approaching hypercars, which they will have to let through. So they will have to continue this battle.
Yeah, that's Hostenius. Hostenius proving to be a bit of a Porsche-flavoured door wedge in this whole ordeal. But yeah, so checking in with Stejink, Uhilau in the front. And that was a little bit of a battle going, but unfortunately has been cut short in this case. You can see Butson and Kerner are going to be trading positions. The Peugeot is proving to be having a bit of a struggle when it comes to Fuji here. Hasn't really had the best of race scenarios. He's currently sat 14th and is dropping to Butson here. So they did have a round out. They did sit the last one out, but I do wonder if whether it's the Peugeot struggling with Fuji or maybe Kerner's just struggling to get back into it. We know also that the Peugeot is no easy car to control due to its unique configuration. There's a bit of a lockup from him as well, to add insult to injury. It's
If
very
they didn't
unique.
change tires on the first pit stop, they must be pretty worn by now. That's definitely coming into play at this point.
It's a balancing act, and say that Peugeot being as unique of a setup as it is, it really does affect how that car behaves. Although saying that, Button has made a mistake. He over-rotated and lost the car on his way up through Sector 3, so Kerner has been given the position back. He's effectively had it returned, and returned in kind. 3.7 seconds now splits the two. Splitting, meanwhile, on the back of Garnham, as he's on the bit of a recovery here. Well, certainly gone for that earlier, more aggressive run to get that third stint started. This will be the stint that takes us to the end of the race.
Franklin has passed Uhilal, I can confirm.
Very nice. Of course, we've got the picture-in-picture to keep an eye on both ends of the action on the field. Great little tool to have.
Yeah. Get a lot more perspective into the race this way. Because there are two races going. The hypercars are in their own race and the GT3s are in their own race. So there's they just happen to be on the same track.
Yep, 2 races, 2 views. Works quite nicely, in my opinion. But we check in quickly with our hypercars, and we can see Pocosi is really challenging. Oh no, Patouche! Patouche has spun in the top hairpin, and now he is going to have quite the challenge ahead of him, as he's 3.2 seconds and counting. Pocosi quickly getting around the Ferrari, and capitalising on that mistake as efficiently as one really can. I'm sure Patouche is fuming after that, but he's still in P3. He just needs to keep his cool and recompose himself in order to gain that time back.
Yep, you don't have the luxury of getting upset about your mistakes. You will just make more. You will have to swallow your pride and just keep going. Apexes and exits, stick to the basics.
Not to mention as well, Pocosi's got an uphill battle to fight of his own, as the bouquet is 12.5 seconds, so he's well and truly out of range for anything to happen. Patouche is the one who holds the cards here, but he just needs to have the pace to execute. We have 20 minutes left in the session, folks. We're in the final third, the final stretch effectively, barring the pit stops, which many drivers will inevitably take in the final 10 minutes of the race. It will be a mad dash. It will be a bit of a shootout as well, as everyone needs to get the needed fuel and energy to finish.
We'll definitely throw a mix in the current standings. Lisbeth has pitted and Lehtonen inherited the first spot back, followed by Foley and Ramsey, with a bit of a gap to the next, which is Biddle. But mostly the GT3 field has now calmed down. Drivers have found their spots. I am interested to see if Danny can make a recovery drive out of this yet. He had a bit of a slide and is now effectively in the last position of the GT3s with 14 seconds to Gary Barham.
I think that Danny does have a bit of a saving grace in his back pocket. He has taken 2 stops, so he technically could, dependent on timing, he can take this to the end, and I think that is a playing card in his deck that he really can play to great effect if he knows how to time it right. Particularly with his attacking and his placement around the track. If he can keep himself out of trouble, focus on getting some good laps in, then when push comes to shove and the other GT3's fuel inevitably runs out and they have to go in for that second stop to finish, that's where he strikes and that's where he makes some jumps.
Yeah, there he will race up through the rankings.
We go checking in with some of the others as well. We can also see the energy levels, and it looks like at the top end A lot of those drivers currently sat P1 through P5 are going to have to pit in one more time. Their energy sits around the 30% level, which is going to cut it fine, to say the least. A lot, meanwhile, further down are going to be in the 50s, the 70s in some cases. It's going to be a much easier call in terms of who has to pit versus who has got a clear run to the end.
Yeah, strategy is definitely making a big difference in this race. Where do you keep your pit stops? Where do you emerge out of your pit stops? It's a big question for our drivers.
And I think as well the tyres playing in, so early hards, then medium, has proven to be a bit of an effective strategy and a bit of a good combination, especially considering that second stint is going to be shorter to compensate for the additional fuel. You might as well get a good... And oh, that was very dicey. Bellucci barely avoiding disaster as the Porsche is going to prove a roadblock for him. Holstenius, great placement on the inside there, capitalizes on the mistake of the Lamborghini. He gets P5 out of the hands of Gianluca. That's how the GT3s play into the hypercar race. They're not technically in the same race, but that placement of the car can be the difference between winning and losing a fight.
You are not racing them, but they definitely are a variable in your race.
Yeah, I mean, with multi-class races, I tend to say you're in your own race, but the other races are testing yours.
Yeah, absolutely.
So even if the GT3s aren't in the same ballpark on pace, them being on the track is testing your racecraft. It's testing your ability and how you manage a circuit with all those factors combined at the same time. That is the clincher. And that's what's going to separate the great drivers from just the good drivers in this field. We're seeing on board with Schlitting right now. He currently is the leader in terms of two-stopped cars. So he could stand to have a lot to gain from a very efficient final stint, where he's taken it longer than everyone else. He's opted for the first stint and the second stint to be the shorter one. And the third stint is going to be a much more aggressive push. But here he is on the back of Baldinini right now. Will he be able to keep this one high on the radar here for Matteo? As he's darting in and out, he's darting side to side, left to right. He's hoping that he can expose a weakness, a gap in the armor, as it were, for Baldinini's defense. You can see Baldinini goes narrow, but Schlitting's having none of it. He has the overspeed, he has the advantage pressed, and here you go. He's going to retain the racing line. Baldinini has to duck back. He's got too much speed on him. And into the first corner, there is the Ferrari, now up into 8th place and displacing the Porsche.
Well done, well done. Daniel Moffat has indeed caught up and passed Gary Bolahan.
There you go, the chops and changes also happening in the GT3s. We check in with Holstenius quickly as Bellucci has proven to be his main opponent throughout the race, and now they have swapped back over. So Holstenius, half a second down, will be able to close that time before it's too late and before he gets out of range.
We have Starkey catching up to Ian Nisbets slowly but surely. We'll see if he can make up the 1.5 seconds in the little time we have left in the race. Franklin Steeching also a bit of involved in with Jordan Biddle, but Hypercar throws a mix in the loop, and they have to make space for the fast cars. or why not you don't make space for the car, you keep to your racing line, but you definitely can't be making any moves on Beetle when a hypercar is passing. But here we go, they are on the straight. He's in the slipstream. Probably not close enough to make a move now, though.
So just keeping a subtle eye on the hypercars right now. Ostenius hasn't been able to really close that gap in the way that he'd like, so currently in a bit of a tough spot. He's only losing more and more time to the Lamborghinis, and this is where he's going to stay for the time being. We have just over 10 minutes left of the race, folks, and now it's where things currently start to settle and where the drivers make crucial decisions. It's how you want to settle into your position, or if you want to fight upwards. The judgment call needs to be made about this point, as well as if you have enough to make it to the end of the race. We're still going to see, if we look at energy levels, we're going to see a lot of people pitting.
Yep. It's going to be an interesting last 10 minutes.
Curiosity to me is that De Vries has also technically put on a masterclass of a session. Now, he's got energy remaining to make it to the end of the race. He's currently sat 38%. However, look at his stop count. He's only done one, so he has fuel saved, he has energy saved like a machine. And if he can execute tonight, that is going to be nothing short of a miracle. He's 2 seconds away from Schlichting right now, who has taken the two-stop approach. We do have a local yellow, trying to find the source of that right now. Cannot currently find the source. We'll see if there's anything that may be triggering such a warning. Doesn't look like it.
Anything on my end.
Now, unfortunately, we don't have much in the way of logs either, event logs. So we can't track whether there was a collision made or whether there has been a yellow triggered by whom at any point. So, got to sort of make do with that. However, things are looking good for De Vries. Although he has been overtaken by Schlichting, he has made a mistake. He did go off track, I think, by the sounds of it. And Schlichting has effectively taken the lead of the race. We have Grossi and Holstenius both heading into the pits for that final splash and dash, like we were talking about earlier. We have Gianluca Bellucci, Patush, Picosi, and Bouquet, all who will have to consider soon going in. As Bouquet is going to cross the line one more time before going for it. Having to make quick work of GT3 traffic too. Another one. Bordenini. 8/10 of a second away from Garnham, losing time, not gaining it. It's having a bit of a struggle when it comes to holding the pace in his car right now, it seems. No such thing as easy when it comes to WSC.
Definitely.
Hopefully we also get a chance to chat to a couple of drivers.
Yeah. But we do not do these things because they are easy, we do them because they are hard.
Yeah, it's the challenge that it brings. And we're not talking hard for the sake of hard, as in a video game throwing more enemies at you and pretending that's well considered. No, we're talking challenging type of hard, where, yes,
Definitely.
there is an obstacle ahead of you, but use your wits, use your skills, your mechanics, your racecraft, your track management, everything. Use your full arsenal of skills and your ability, and you will overcome. That's what we're seeing here with Grossi right now. Bordenini
is right there. So Grossi has to manage his car as well as predict where his opponent's going to go and make the according move. He goes narrow into the hairpin on the left side and does make a quick execute for a great move into P8 right there. That is textbook.
That was absolutely textbook.
You can see mass exodus and mass entrance into the pits here. Pocosi leads the pit lane. Bouquet is going to come out in second after all of that. Patush is going to be slowly making his way out with Bellucci a little bit further away. Here comes Schlichting and De Vries up to the start-finish straight, but it's not going to be enough. Despite that initial change in strategy, yes, they brought themselves a lot closer physically, but still, there's almost half a start-finish straight between them. It's about 6 seconds. Pocosi is all the way up at the front, so he's not made that time up as much. Still a very impressive effort, and still has made up good time, but just not enough to make those positions I think they were hoping for.
Yeah, definitely. Driver's strategy has come into play here. We currently have Franklin Steeging as second in the GT3s due to several drivers going to the pits for more fuel.
As they go, the strategy certainly playing things in. We also have Garnham and Baldanini heading in, so that is going to change a couple of positions in the mid-pack. Although Grossi has just DNF'd. We just seen it flash up. He has DNF'd from the session, seemingly out of nowhere. We'll have to quiz on why that happened later on. That's our second retiree and our first hypercar retiree of the session. Local yellows coming out in some areas. And then making our way into the final 5 minutes of the session. Things have all of a sudden changed and heated up.
Yep.
Ooh, looks like there's Dan Wilson. Sorry to interrupt you, mate. Dan Wilson just went himself off the track.
Oh.
So, again, it's a little bit of a control struggle, but he still pushes through, he still powers on.
Yeah. So as I was saying, we have Starkey reeling Barham in classic pairing of drivers here. Club boss and club trustee.
A tale as old as time, these two, I swear. It's always inseparable since the beginning, on track and off it. So here we go, there is the McLaren now coming through. We did have a somewhat slow-running Porsche on the course. I wonder what was going on there. We'll duck into the inside at one point. But we're on board with Bouquet right now, and Bouquet is within a second of Pocosi, so this could get interesting depending on how they deal with the GT3. That's also Garnham just right there. He is going to yield off and respect blue flag rules.
As everyone should. The more consistent and the more we follow the rules, the more predictable we drive, the less accidents we have, and the more fun we all have.
Amen to that. Although we do have Kerner introducing a bit of a roadblock here. That's going to be Pocosi practically stuck behind the back marker. Peugeot, and contact being made between himself and Bouquet. So, both drivers being affected by Kerner in the back marking position. And now Bouquet is very close to the back of Pocosi. This could be a change with the lead of the race. And with only 2 minutes and 20 seconds to go, let's see what he can do here. Coming up to the start-finish straight, and immediately is going to be pushing on the attack here. See, just checking on the speed that is available to these cars. Over 300 kilometers an hour, 310, coming up to 320 before they have to dive on those brakes. Immediately getting themselves all the way down to 80 kilometers.
Oh, Lehtonen driving into pits at 2 minutes remaining. Has he done a bit of miscalculation with his fuel, maybe?
Very close call. Hopefully there's no issues. Last thing we want to see is him going out.
Yeah, with minute left in the race, it would be a great shame.
Looks like he is coming out of the pits now, so all hope is not lost. Lehtonen returns to the racing surface. But he is going to have a bit of a problem in the form of Ramsey. He needs to beat him out here.
I think he'll just make it.
It's going to be very close, I think, but with a couple of seconds to spare, if that, managed to eke the gap and keep one to Ramsey.
That's the definition of flash and death right there.
So here we go, 40 seconds on the clock, final lap of the race, officially about to get underway. And Bouquet is hot on the heels of Federico Piccosi. It's gonna be a last-minute Hail Mary, unless the Toyota has resigned himself into P2. Already peeks the nose in and looks for the chance to go for that spot. There is Piccosi getting stuck behind a Mustang. This reeled him in even closer. This could be a shot at victory here. Bouquet briefly pokes the nose to the left side in the hopes of teasing an oppositional position. There he goes for it. He uses the GT3 to his advantage. Piccosi is going to be fully caught unawares and stuck behind traffic, but not to be outdone. He outbrakes himself into the top hairpin of Sector 2, and it's a great switchback from the Toyota. Once again, the fire is lit. Piccosi into second as Bouquet gets an astounding move. Great control of the circuit, very close on the rear, and really draws in. Piccosi's on the challenge. He's on the hunt. He wants this more than anything right now, and you can see how aggressive he's pushing that car, pushing those brakes, and getting that car so close to the rear bumper. He's not going to let it slide. He's not going to let Bouquet get away with this. But he might just have to, unless he can make it happen. There's a bit of contact in the final corner and a slip of the rear axle. Bouquet is off the outside and to the left here, but he holds the line. He holds firm. It goes narrow to try and break the slipstream. Mathieu Bouquet in first position is going to be your winner here in Fuji for Hypercar. Piccosi into the pits in second. Patouche is going to push through into third place. What a finale.
What a finale that was. I'm super impressed by how they used the GT3 car to their advantage there. That's top-notch racing right there.
That's what we were saying. Well, fortunately, we did have a couple of DNFs. We had Borgerson, Grossi, and Starkey's actually DNF'd in the last moment. Really brutal end to him there, as he was set to go right to the end. It was so close to the end as well that DNF popped up. But in the end, not to be.
I wonder what happened there.
Yeah, I do indeed wonder what happened, but not to be. So you can see the rest of the hypercars now coming through and finish up their running. It's going to be all quiet on the track as it's the last finishes.
Oh, Ramsey and Nisbet, they are still going at it.
Ooh. Looks like GT3s are still alive and kicking even now. Last minute issue. Ramsey running slow. Running very slow.
As he ran low on fuel.
Oh, don't say that. He was running in second so well all this time. And now Forte's closed in. Luckily, there's just enough of a gap for him to hold onto third, I think. Yeah, he has held on to third with 40 and Uhilau with fourth and fifth. But Nisbet is going to take an easy spot with the crucial timing. Well, the miscalculation coming in from Ramsey. And then
Wow,
Nisbet.
what a finish.
Last minute surge coming in from Nisbet, and there you go, folks. So that is order, that is done. And if we grab our race results, you can see Bouquet, Pocosi, and Patush make your top 3 spots in the hypercars. Bellucci, Schlitting, De Vries, Hofstede, Garno, Baldinini, and Butson complete your top 10, followed closely by Kerner, Borgso, and Wilson with a DNF from Grossi. Now let's on end Nisbet and Ramsey complete your top 3. A last minute switch up, certainly proving to be a bit of a change in those standings. But as we can see here, there's Uhilal, there is Biddle, as well as completing your boards alongside it's Stejink and Moffat with Barham. Starkey and Borgerson unfortunately DNFing as well, meaning that that is going to be a rough end to their session. But let's see if we can have a chat with any of them. Now, my initial thoughts, we want to get the winners of each. So let's see if we can get, in no particular order, we'll summon Bouquet. We will summon Letonen. And I think as our special third driver, and to get a bit of perspective, let's see if we can summon De Vries.
Yeah.
I think if we can get a chat to all of them, because I want to talk particularly with De Vries about the fuel save. Particularly want to talk with them about that. I think that would be good. Because they had one stop. They really did fuel save like something fierce, and I think that is something that is worth... That is noteworthy. I think that is worth mention. So we'll hopefully get a chance to talk to them. But in the meantime, we do have a join from Patush, Letonen, and there you go. There is De Vries as well. So we've got the full cohort. We're going to drag them in one at a time. I know that we can drag them in. I say we don't have Bouquet like planned, but we can still talk to Patush potentially. Just seeing there that he is in the waiting room, so we will see. But I think in the meantime, let's talk to the winner of GT3, and we'll see what he has to say. So let's grab Letonen in. Letonen, can you hear us in the commentary box, mate?
Yeah, sure.
Just dragged you
Welcome.
in. It actually works this time.
And well
Lovely.
done.
Thank you. Thank you.
My congratulations. Impressive showing.
Yeah, I mean, how are you
usual.
feeling about that?
Good, good. I was surprised Robert wasn't there. I was waiting in the qualifying, like he should be P1 or 2, but yeah, no. And then into the race, I got a nice gap between me and P2. Thought at Fuji you can save fuel quite a lot, so I tried to make it with one stop the best I can, but yeah, in the end I had to bid for like 1 or 2 extra laps of fuel. So.
But you had gathered such an impressive gap to the second by that point that you managed to get your pit stop done without getting passed.
Yeah, I mean, everyone had to do the second pit stop, and I gained the time during it because I didn't have to fuel so much. Yeah, I lost some time on the track, I guess, for fuel saving a lot, but yeah,
but it's
really
worked out well for you.
Yeah, and now I know for the future races that you probably can't make it with one pit stop, because Fuji is one of the tracks where I can save the most.
Yeah, I mean, it was certainly impressive to sort of watch. Now, I was mostly trained on the hypercars, but I was checking back in with the GT3s periodically and was sort of keeping an eye. I mean, what were your sort of expectations heading in tonight? I know you mentioned about Robert here, expecting him to be here, but personally, what were you expecting to get out of Fuji tonight?
Again, not much. I didn't really... I practiced back in the day when we were supposed to drive Fuji, but now I just jumped in for half an hour or so before the race, and yeah, didn't really expect anything, like maybe top 3 I was hoping to get, so that I achieved. Very nice, but
Quite definitively.
yeah. But no, it didn't really come with any expectation, just hoping to win or get a podium. I'm happy.
Yeah, I mean, you absolutely did that. So I think I'm just going to use a little bit of napkin math here. So forgive me if the accuracy isn't quite there. But I think with this finish, it definitely puts you ahead of Moffat in the standings. And I think it does actually bring you quite close to Poor in the standings of the championship. So my question to you is, with the rounds remaining, do you think you could potentially be on the cards to win this one?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was a bit skeptical before this race because me and Poor both basically used one of the dropout rounds at Spa because we both finished out of top 3. And now I think Poor used his second, so if he messes up the third time, it will cost him a lot in terms of championship points. So yeah, it's good for me, and I'm still a bit behind on him on points because he won the first one, and from there he gained a lot. But yeah, I'm slowly getting closer and excited to see how this battle ends up.
Yeah, well, excited for it too. But again, great running out there tonight, and excellent job. So well done, mate, and sort of take a rest. Well earned.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And also the hypercars did a great job today. I was expecting something worse, but nothing to report out of them. So great job, everyone on track. And
Yeah, it seemed to be
guys
quite
too.
clean and nice today.
Yeah, looks like it.
Yeah, well, there you go, mate. Well, thank you very much. I'm going to let you go. And thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Right, there we go. We're going to talk to Vries. I don't think we're going to have time to talk to Mika today, seeing as we haven't got Bouquet coming in here. We're going to grab Henrik de Vries, and we're going to see what he has to say. Mr. de Vries, can you hear us? Can you hear us in the commentary box? We brought you in here.
Yes.
Lovely. Okay, now we can hear you. Well, great race out there today, I do want to say. Good job, P6. Now, we wanted to talk to you in particular because you had a very unique approach to today's race and wanted to sort of hear your thoughts about how this race weekend went.
Yeah, it went quite good for me. I struggle with Cadillac hypercar, so I thought I should try to fuel safe. I did one pit stop, and it worked out quite nice. I had to use the clutch to lift a lot. I didn't do that before, but it went well. One spin.
Yeah, well, I mean, the big thing for me is how you sort of managed your energy throughout the race. Now, you did something very different, which was basically run very conservative throughout the entire thing, and you actually saved yourself a pit stop. Which,
Yep.
I mean, was that your plan going in, or was that more of a reactionary move?
No, it was my plan coming in. I struggle with the Cadillac, so I thought drive slowly and see if I can save a pit stop.
Seemed to be a solid plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'd say it worked out quite well. I mean, you got some solid points on the board and another solid result, sort of following on from your previous result. That has really put you in good stead here in the mid-pack. I mean, where do you see yourself into the rest of the season? Of course, we've got a couple of races left in the calendar. We've got the 10-round calendar, but how do you see yourself doing? Like, I mean, are there any particular rounds that you're looking forward to?
To be honest, I will be glad that the season is over with the Cadillac. I struggle a lot, so
All right.
maybe some more practice, but
Let's rephrase. Any particular track that you like on the calendar that's left?
is Spa or Monza left?
Oh no, I think we just had. Let's say we had Spa and then we had Monza round before this. We have Imola. I mean, close.
Yeah, a lot of braking zones, so not looking forward.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true.
Never mind. But hey, regardless, mate, it has been a great showing out there tonight. It has been a great showing. So take tonight's race with a bow, and looking forward to seeing what the rest of the season brings.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
And there you go. That is going to do it. That's all the time we're going to have, unfortunately, for interviews here tonight, folks. But I do want to say it's been another great round under the belts, and I have enjoyed it immensely. Of course, we will hear from, say, our patrons as well at the end, who have a list of patrons at the end who have been supporting us and doing the amazing sort of support that allows this season, as we know it, to be possible. But, Eero, any sort of closing thoughts before we wrap things up tonight?
Wow, what a race. Definitely a lot of action. And what a start, what a finish.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say.
I'm still sweating and I didn't even race.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It is a lot, but it is certainly a brilliant season that we've had up until this point, and one that I'm looking forward to see reach its second half all the way to its conclusion. I know that if this is the stage being set, we are going to be in for a great next set of 5 rounds. Now, join us, of course, for next week. We will be going to Imola, and we will then have quite the calendar. We've got Le Mans, we've got Algarve, and then Kota along with Sebring to finish. But it's been great from everyone here in the live chat as well. Thank you so much for all the support as always, and we are going to be signing off. So thank you very much. Of course, do join if you are looking to get involved. Subscribe to YouTube if you haven't done already, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.